Here we are. Today is July 20th, 2019. It is indeed 50 years to the day that the Apollo 11 crew of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin descended in their lunar module Eagle, separated from Mike Collins in the command module, and landed on the lunar surface, on the moon, for the first time on another celestial body. So pretty major. That happened at 3:18 p.m. Central Time, and soon, in a few hours, they'll be landing. They'll be coming down the ladder. That will be 50 years. Neil will be coming down the ladder and setting first step. So we've got Zach Weiss here, and Zach is 30. And so Zach, I was around for the moon landing. I was 9 years old in 1969. And I have some good memories of it, being in front of that black and white TV. But of course, you and so many others born after that time just have no, of course, recollection of it. You only have videos and films and stories and whatnot, and books. So with all that extra media, multimedia, what does the whole moon landing mean to you? Why is it significant? And if it is, why? And how much has that affected your life, if any?
Yes, it's significant. It's only one of the most important historical events in the entire universe. Now, personally, for me, I see it as discovery, advancement, future opportunity. Just a mere milestone in what we can accomplish as a species. And when we landed on the lunar surface, it was probably one of the biggest moments the entire planet has ever witnessed. And to me personally, I think it serves as a method of inspiration. You can do almost anything your heart desires, and I believe in taking those next steps in order to do so.
What do you think the next step should be? You think?
Well, 2024, we are doing our best to return to the lunar surface with Project Artemis, and I suppose the next step would be what we've been conversing about for years now, which is Mars. And from what I understand, the first mission will probably take place anywhere from 25 to 40 plus years from now. And we're still trying to figure every aspect of that mission out as much as possible. This has to be exactly accurate, has to be precise, just like the first lunar mission. We have the top scientists working around the clock to make sure this is possible, as well as engineers, costume designers, everyone involved, who started out as mere dreamers and who are now action takers in that regard.
Very good. So you've had an opportunity, rare opportunities sometimes, to meet some astronauts from current day and yesteryear. When you were younger, of course, you had the opportunity to meet the last man on the moon, Gene Cernan. You met the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, second man, Buzz Aldrin, and
Twice.
and a number of others. And I'm wondering what that meant to you. Is that something that has held dear in your heart? What was it? What was your outlook on it then? As being a younger kid. It's maybe not as significant. You don't know. You just look at these guys; they're just old men. But as you've gotten older, and now, of course, all this Apollo 11 lore, just left and right, it's raised the specter of one's imagination and significance in who these folks are. So what was that like, meeting these folks?
honestly, at the time, I wish I could say I was as pumped as when I met Al Stewart. But looking back on it, I feel like I was just as pumped. I probably didn't have enough information. I just knew the basics on who I met, what their major significant milestone was, and or multiple milestones in that regard. But I can most definitely say that those were very unique opportunities. I am more than blessed to say that I encountered those fine people and had the opportunity to converse with a few of them as well. And I and I say this like whenever I attend a space-related event with you, while it holds some importance to me, the look on your face is what makes it magical to me, because this is your penultimate passion. I tell people all the time, you are a space guru, and so when I sort of have you as my cheat sheet behind me before I shake this person's hand, say, this is what this person did, in case you didn't realize this already, in case they would teach that in school. Um, I'm happy to say I was honored to meet said individuals, and I tell people, oh yeah, I shook their hand. I met this person when I was a sophomore in high school. Yeah, first man on the moon, totally. Yeah. Oh, met him, second man, yeah, twice. Last man, met him twice. Yeah, I've met a few of the original flight directors. Sort of like Forrest Gump when he said, "And I met the President of the United States again." But no, seriously, I consider it a high honor, to say the least.
That's excellent. So, I texted you the other day. I think it was yesterday, or possibly yesterday. Mike Collins, the third member of the Apollo 11 crew, who is the command module pilot who orbited the moon, waiting for Buzz and Neil to lift off again, take him home. He was being interviewed at KSC just yesterday, and he was talking to an astronaut candidate and asking her what her background was, and she said she was actually a master's thesis in poetry and writing. And they were talking, and then she went on to get a PhD in engineering and whatnot. So she was done, and he came back and he said, I want to address something that I heard you say. I was really fascinated and interested that you mentioned that you were, into poetry. He said, I go to MIT every once in a while to give talks and whatnot, and they're always saying, we need to push science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM. And Mike says, he always says, well, no, we need some poetry in there. We need arts and make it STEAM. So he's very much for that. What do you think about that? You think that's a good thing to have?
Oh, it's probably bias coming from me, but hell yes! 100%, yes. Now, there's going to be the constant debate of, oh, well, just pure STEM, it's more practical than STEAM and whatnot. But at the same time, though, I feel that someone with an arts background, I think it's extremely necessary. We don't. I suppose maybe some people turn to math equations to help them stay relatively sane, but most people say, oh, I listen to music, or oh, I read, or I look at visual art, I watch films, I even play video games. It really helps me stay level, and I think that's very important. Not only that, but to also have them on future missions to help them paint a bigger landscape with their creative mind, and bring that to us. I've written many pieces about space from what I learned from you, from what I've witnessed, from footage I've seen, from interviews I've heard. I can only create so much, but to have an actual astronaut with that background up there, yeah, push for it, and more. I'll help endorse it.
Very good.
I'll steal an old lady's life savings to help make that possible.
Well, this is a good segue. We've only got a few minutes left. It's a good segue to, I know you've got a piece you'd like to share with the audience as well, so why don't you
That I do.
partake?
How many?
It's on about 4.5.
Oh, cool. Perfect. So you actually came up with the title for this one, and like many recorded ideas, it was placed on hold for a certain period of time. Sort of like Al Stewart and how he writes about significant historical events. He doesn't write about them when it happens right away. He likes to wait a while. And, I mean, it depends on if the historical event impacted you in some way. Then, yes, you want to jump on that project. But, so for this specific piece, I shelved this for a few years, but then I brought it back. And this was actually published in this Science and Nature magazine called Jalmora, and the piece is called Peace Within a Nebula. Peace as in peace. Through telescope eyes the eagle flies. Once it has landed, its presence is surrounded by spatial skies. So hard to look away, the planetary bodies of night, they stayed to absorb the energies of faceless scientific circles. Kneel before kneel. A choir sings as dotted lights brighten. In the stellar nursery, dust collects. Hydrogen laughs under constant freedom. Helium heightens the auditory language. Gas swims through the ether. Communication has no barrier, and the silence of space translates clearer than ice crystals that form in the process. Collapse from gravity steal every bit of momentum. Density attracting matter. Every artistic step matters. Incessant internal wars within the center. Why can't the populace find peace within a nebula and leave all pre-existing Earth judgments behind? A new world, founded on balance and utopian prosperity, where every day includes a night sky. One astronaut's gravitational pull is another astronaut's opposite magnetic push. Under the guise of glass helmets, they could be making any face, thinking any thought. Radiation from the ultraviolet, sensing the birth of astronomical mutation. Diffuse, emission has visible light and reflection rejects it. Dark, they do not provide illumination but bring on the infrared blackness of dust. Supernova remnant, implode and explode the unwanted layers, leaving behind the semblance of a descendant. Planetary, low mass star in the final stage, living fewer years due to peer pressure. Proplanetary, temporary life, a short-lived episode, some evolution devolving from the skies. 964 CE, Abd al-Rahman Asufi saw one, a little cloud flirting with Andromeda, brothers Omicron, Valorum, and Rocky's cluster. July 4th, 1054, Nebula of the Crab, seen by the masses of Arabic nations and China. 17th century European division, multiplying sites and never being able to fully grasp concepts of the scholarly. Fly with the eagle, hunt with the Orion, marry the rings, plant the rosette. Why can't they find that unrelenting peace within a nebula and leave all judgmental doomsday quarrels behind? Better to be diverse in the expanding universe. January 7th, 2017.
Very nice. Excellent. Very, very captivating. I really appreciate all the references you made and all this symbolism and metaphors. Very nicely done. We're almost out of time, or do you have any last and parting words?
Well, not to be completely unoriginal, but to sort of expand on what other people have said, including you. Follow your heart. Find some sort of passion, no matter what it is. Well, and and continue to follow your dreams. Once you achieve your goals, set new ones and achieve those as well. Continue to inspire others. Though we are in this craft for ourselves, it is our duty to support others and to help them. To hell with competition. Support.
Excellent. Namaste.
Namaste.